And if I completely blow it, I blow it, but I'm going to earn my own way. I guarantee you I'm going to show up.
Hi, everyone. Today I'm joined here by Emma Pace, co-founder of Sales Genius, very top performing realtor out of GTA, Toronto, now relocated in London, helping both markets.
Yeah, we basically do marketing for realtors. If I could give you like my short snippet of what we do, but we basically take all of their marketing in-house. We do consulting with them to figure out who they want to go after and what types of lead sources they'd like to go after and how they want to market, whether it's open houses, paid ads, etc. And then our team takes that in-house, and the agency side of services delivers that, and then we help them convert those leads. So that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, and obviously we're here today on Build Your Foundation, where investors get to hear about the journey of folks. And you're obviously a Foundation Capital Private Real Estate Trust investor. We've known each other for a while. And, you know, you weren't always just doing marketing for realtors. Your journey started off being a sound engineer and DJ.
I was a DJ, and I did artist management for a while, and I was broke. So that was before I met you guys and I had any money to invest. And then and then I got my real estate license because I thought it'd be a great idea. I could own my schedule and make a bunch of money and still DJ. And then I realized I didn't own my schedule at all when I stopped DJing.
But I guess to give the audience some back history, you know, you're from London originally. You go to like school for music. You become a DJ. You're living the DJ music life. Then you're like, you know what? In order to blow up as a DJ, I need to go where?
I need to go to Toronto.
All right. So now you're like, all right, pack my bags, move to Toronto.
Yeah.
How'd you afford rent?
I struggled, but I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car at the time,
Nice.
and helped to run one of the branches downtown here. So I would say that was kind of like my biggest. It was probably my biggest learning opportunity as an entrepreneur, because it was like getting paid to get an MBA. They didn't pay you well, but you still got money. You didn't have to pay to learn. And so I learned a lot about business there, a lot about, we had, I think, I want to say like almost 250 cars in our fleet, and it was like 4 or 5 mid 20-year-olds running a branch. Yeah, I mean, their business model is super interesting. So it's still a private company. It's a family-owned business. When I was working there, they were doing like well into the billions. And their business model is interesting. It's something that I've actually carried over to even what I do today. And every single person that starts at Enterprise has to start as like it's called like a management trainee. So you have to start at the bottom, and you have to climb the ranks up till you get to, I think, branch manager, and then from there you can go like corporate, whatever. You can kind of branch off to whatever you want to do. But I liked that part because every single person that is in that company, even the owner's kids, have to start on the bottom rung so that every single person has the exact same knowledge base and understanding of that business. And so I really liked that part. I mean, you can leapfrog people, but you can't come in and come from somewhere else being a branch manager. You're coming in at the bottom to learn the basics and the foundations and the fundamentals of stuff. And so I thought that was really helpful. And that's actually something that like I've integrated even for like sales, like for agents on our teams. It's like, if you want to be on the team, no problem. I don't care how much experience you have, but you got to do this job for 3 months if you want to work for us, because I want you to have a base level. I want everybody to be on the same page and have a base level of understanding of like how to set appointments and what a qualified appointment is, etc., to make sure that like after your 90 days, I can set you free and like you're set up for success. So it's like a small amount of pain for a big amount of gain. You know what I mean?
100%. I think that comes down to like first principles, right? Instead of just reading about it, you're doing it. So when someone's complaining, you understand their firsthand experience and you know how to problem solve it, right? So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome, and it's a pretty good like full-rounded way of, I guess, building a company, and that's sweet. So you're at Enterprise. How do you get into real estate? Like this is like you're making money at Enterprise.
Enterprise was like it was a big grind, right? So we were oftentimes like 6 to 6, and then I'd be DJing at night. It was just an unsustainable life, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're early 20s, you got a lot of energy. You don't really need a lot of sleep. So I was making it work, but I woke up and I was like, is this really why packed my life up and moved to another city to like work for this corporation and then like DJ at night. Like, no, I want to like live in my 20s and I want to enjoy, but I also need money. You know, I have to be realistic about this. And I even before enterprise, like I had work doing like outbound credit card sales at a bank. And so I'd always been like on the phone. I've been in sales. I've been in front of people. Like I like talking to people. I enjoy it. And my aunt, it was actually a mortgage broker, and she's always told me like, you should get into real estate. You should get into real estate. You'd be great at it. And so I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take the leap. So there was a very short window where I was working at Enterprise, doing my license and DJ. I pretty much didn't sleep. I banged it out in like 3 months because I didn't need the 2 year ORIA thing or whatever they've got now. And I slowly made the transition. I slowly kind of weaned off it, and I said, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to replace my income at Enterprise. And if I can do that, then I'm basically flush at this point in time, and it's only like up from here. So I did a bunch of leases, and I hustled. I had to learn how to make it work downtown. I was like, I don't know how to do showings. I don't know how to get in these condos. I don't know anything about lock boxes. I don't know much about the market. So found a mentor, bought a course first, um, grinded out a bunch of leases, and then I found a
How'd you find
mentor.
the course? Where'd you find the course?
Research. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's my one like thing that I will never stop doing is I'm just like a lifelong learner, and I'm like, okay, who has the information, and can I pay to get that information to go faster? That's always been. Even like with school, I did that. Apprenticeships and like stuff like that. It's like, who can I go to that's like doing the thing right now, actually right now, not somebody that did it like 10 years ago. Who's in the market right now that I can just like
Learn
shadow?
from.
Yeah,
Nice.
even if I got to do it for free or I'm not getting paid that well, I don't care. I want to shadow you and know what's going on right now so that I can kind of leapfrog and like get ahead. So I took this course, and honestly, I really didn't have money to take the course, man. It was like $1,500, and I was like, shit. Um, but I put it on the line of credit, and I followed what the guy said, and it paid. I still use. It's crazy, that was like 10 years ago. I still use some of the stuff that I learned in that course. It was like a really good. Um, I just took it in like a sponge, and it helped me a lot. And then from there, I transitioned from leases to sales, and then from there, I transitioned to being the top agent, and then I ran a small team, and now I merged and I run a bigger team, and now I run my own company. It's just like this little progression, every year trying to get a little better and learn some new stuff, and the trials and tribulations of entrepreneurship.
100%. So you obviously started off doing those leases, and then was that at Zoocasa or another place?
I was at another brokerage. I'm not gonna say who it was. I was at
Yeah, yeah,
another brokerage
nice.
before, and it was just a disaster. Didn't like it at all. It was like a little, real estate brokerages are interesting because in any other industry, there's usually like standardization amongst brands, right? This is something
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
was like naive. I didn't know anything about this when I got into it, right? So in London, Century 21 is the biggest it's the biggest brand, right? So I'm thinking like, all right, it's got to be like a standardized thing. It's a huge, these are huge brands: Remax, Century 21, Keller Williams, whatever. Um, and then I realized that all these brokerages are owned independently. They all operate differently, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. There's not similar systems, similar process, similar training, right? It's like it's funny because you would argue that franchises run better because it's like you must buy the food from the thing, you must deliver it this exact way. There's no changes to the recipe. But I guess when you're a real estate brokerage, it's kind of like, cool, you can sell burgers and fries, but you do whatever you want with the burgers and fries, and
Pretty
same
much,
stuff,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah, they like even have, even like contractually. So one of the biggest pain points that I had was like I started, right, and I didn't have any money. I bought that course.
yeah,
And I wanted to leave because I realized I want to transition from leases to sales because like that's kind of my one way of getting ahead. I either got to bang out like 100 leases a year, or I need to transition and get my confidence and
the
transition
sales,
into
yeah,
sales, etc. So then I found the opportunity with Lauren, because originally I had actually interviewed at Keller Williams, which is where she was, and they kept calling me like, I know you're new, but I want you, blah, blah. And then I saw this guy post, and he was like posting for a buyer's agent. And I called him, and I was like, can I interview for this? And he's like, you don't have enough experience. Like, she's not gonna consider you. And I said, I remember saying this, and I still talk to this guy. He's a great guy. I said, I'm not expecting to get the job. My only ask is, can you just get me an interview? And if I completely blow it, I blow it, but I'm gonna earn my own way. I guarantee you I'm gonna show up. And I showed up, and it's funny because I went with I was like still kind of scared because I was new, and I was like meeting this like, big top agent, whatever. And so I went in there with a partner, and we did like a duo interview to work at Zoocasa. And
Against each other.
no. We went together and we are like, we want to work together. This was somebody
Oh,
at my
okay,
old
okay,
brokerage. No. It wasn't like they didn't pin me against somebody. No, we went together and we were like, we want to work together. Like, could we both come over? And I remember doing the interview, and I was so prepared for the interview, and this other person really wasn't like that prepared. And then Lauren called me after and was like, I'll hire you. I know you have no experience, but like, I'll hire you. Your friend can't come though. And that was like one of, I think, my first like, with like, you don't want to leave your friend behind, but you also have to consider your future and what you want to do and the opportunity. So I had to sit down. That was probably like one of my first like business, like tough business conversations. But that person was like totally cool. We're still friends and stuff today. She's doing really well. So
nice. So then you get to Zoocasa, you get this opportunity, and you just don't let it kind of go bust. You actually become the top agent there, and you actually train a lot of the agents or provide a lot of guidance to them. And ultimately, you were there until the final sale of Zoocasa.
yeah, I was there. I was there from the start when we became our own brokerage to the point that we got purchased by EXP. Yeah.
Damn. So that was a wild journey, and you went from hey, sell hey, you want to get into this lease rental at Enterprise to I'm leasing at Century 21
I actually
to
took a downgrade, man. I don't even know if a lot of people know this. When I went over and Lauren said, "Okay, you can come over,"
yeah.
she was like, with all due respect, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know anything. You've done a couple of leases. So she said, if you want to come over here, she kind of made me do like the enterprise management trainee thing. She was like, if you're going to come over here, your first little bit is you're actually going to be a showing specialist. So you don't even get to do your own deals. You got to go show somebody else's houses for them so that you can learn what the process looks like for buying and selling. I'm not giving you any of my leads until I know that you've been trained by somebody else. So I technically took a downgrade when I moved over, but that window of learning like expedited. I probably did, in terms of being a part of transactions, I probably did what most newer agents would do in 3 years. I did in 3 months. I didn't necessarily get paid that well for it, but in terms of experience versus money, after like 3 months, she was like, okay, go. Like, I know you're fine. You're good. You've written contracts. You've done the offers. Go ahead.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I guess that actually stems towards like your whole journey in a sense. Obviously, like the way we know each other is we met as we hosted a cash flow to go event where you're trying to invest and make some money. I guess you're a realtor at the time,
Yeah.
and you were interested in how do you make some more passive money. And at that time, we hadn't launched Foundation yet, but we were still investing in multifamily stuff, and we were accountants, so we got to grow close because of that. And we kind of stayed in touch. But at that time, I think, you were the top agent. You didn't really have a team. You had like an assistant that would do some paperwork for you. But since then, you then went to transition where you had to take kind of, I want to say, 2 steps back from being a high individual performer. You take 2 steps back. You start building a team. And I know we get on calls and you're like, oh man, I got to like go transition and do all this. I could just do this myself. And it's a challenge that I think a lot of business owners and type A's kind of people face is like, we're always just willing to like dig deeper. And sometimes it's hard with staff and others that they can't see the vision that you have for them and where they can be if, they're able to make some tweaks. So you take those 2 steps back, you then build the team is doing well, but I guess you start realizing, there's always going to be churn in a team. You're actually really good at doing the training and doing the it's called the marketing and ads component to bring in lead gen, right? And that's where you were really good at versus you didn't necessarily enjoy the hey, let me follow up to see if you actually chase those leads down and, did you follow up with them and get that done? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of different things you have to learn on an entrepreneur, like during the entrepreneur's journey. And the transition from being like a solopreneur to actually managing other people, I think is biggest it's the biggest form of leverage, but it is also the biggest pain because you lose a lot of control. Like you gain a lot of leverage in what you're able to do by delegation and stuff, but you also lose a lot of control that you once had with like how things are done and how efficiently they're done and if they're, are they done correctly and are they done on time and all this stuff. And the thing is you can put your heart and soul into training somebody, but at the end of the day, they're never going to be you, and it took me a long time to kind of realize that. And then, it's also tough when you're young, you're a new entrepreneur, you're trying to grow this team, and then you're going from a solopreneur of like, okay, I had an assistant, but it's like you got to do paperwork, you got to market yourself, you got to have to do the delivery of the services, the showings, the whatever, the offers, this, that, the other, and then the next thing you do is boom, now I'm gonna go take on like 4 or 5 people, and I got to like try and figure out how I'm gonna manage all of this because you don't have the income yet, right? As a team leader, you got to wait for these deals to close before you have the income to hire more support staff. And so I was like, damn, I just took on like a whole nother job that I'm not getting paid for right now. But again, it was one of those things where I'm like, I can look at this as a loss and I can look at this as like, I'm just going to like quit now because it's really hard and I'm going to go back to doing the thing that makes me a lot of money. But I'm just getting paid to learn right now. I'm getting like beat down to learn how to do it. And I mean, you kind of got to stick through it. And at this point, it's like, I enjoyed the training. I didn't like the accountability part, because the accountability part would drive me absolutely insane because I'm like, dude, I'm being accountable to you, but you're not being accountable to me. And then I realized like, it's just humans. You have to have these checks and balances in place. Most people are good people and they're trying. And at the end of the day, if they don't hold up to whatever the standard is that you set. And I think for a long time I set like too high of standards because I was setting my standards for other people and like that was kind of unfair. And so it took me a while to like figure out what that balance is, like what is a reasonable standard for somebody who's willing to be on a team because they're working for us because they don't want to be an entrepreneur. Right? So they're not going to be they don't want to work 24/7. That's why they're here. They don't want to go get their own leads. That's why they're here. That's my job.
Yeah.
And so like readjusting those expectations within myself took a while for me to do. But I think over time it's like you kind of come to this equilibrium of like what is fair for what I'm doing and what you're doing, what is fair. I can't expect you to do this, but like if you want to do nothing and have me still contribute, that's also like not a fair trade for both parties. So you kind of come to that and then you realize like I like this person, do I see potential and do I think that they could be a good fit? And if the answer is like yes, okay, they're qualified, they could be a good fit, and like they're also like a culture fit and a vibe, and like I would enjoy spending time with them. You got a certain period of time to find that equilibrium, and if you can't, this is not the right fit, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's funny because I guess the way you hacked that whole process is then you had other realtors reaching out to you saying like, "Hey, you did really well at Zoocasa. You're doing really well. Like, can I pay you for advice? How are you doing this?" And that's kind of how like Sales Genius kind of began because now you have people who are holding themselves accountable and they're reaching out on how to improve. So tell us a little bit about how does Sales Genius come about?
Yeah, it was. I actually went to another. I had another coach, obviously, because I'm big into like investing in myself, coaching, learning, whatever. And I went, and it was like I was like the least experienced team leader that went to this meetup, right? And I was like, I want to get around these other team leaders, so I'm drowning. I don't know these expectations. I like again, put me in the freaking lion's den with people who are doing the thing right now, and like just tell me how to do it. I'm down to pay. And then when I went there, I quickly realized I was like, damn, I'm like not as far off as I thought I was. This is probably really good for me to realize. I thought I was so far behind, but now I'm like networking with these other people that have been doing this for way longer than me. And I'm realizing like I have a lot of components. I haven't brought in a lot of bad habits because I haven't been doing it for that long. So the stuff that I'm doing is like killing it right now. So when I told them, they were like, holy, like, can you do that for me? And then I was like, oh damn, like I didn't realize I didn't realize that like what I had, the thing that I thought was my biggest weakness was my biggest opportunity because it was actually working for my system was amazing. The people that I was attracting at that time because I was so new weren't the best. It was taking me so long to get them to implement the system because they were all green. These guys were attracting agents that had already had a bunch of experience but had a bad system. So they were like, if I can put your system in with these people, boom. And
And
then
that's
that kind of,
interesting, right? So you put yourself in the right room, and what that allowed you to do was take the collective experience and then I guess mishmash and like address what would ultimately be now your current business that you're co-founder of.
yeah.
Uh,
And
you're
that's actually where I met my co-founder. People are
oh, no
scared
way.
to, yeah. People
That's
are
funny.
like kind of, people are scared. First of all, one, I've invested a lot of money in my self-education and just myself, whatever. Like that's just, I told you at the beginning, I'm like a
100%, yeah.
lifelong learner. That's like how I enjoy spending my money on that stuff. But all of my biggest opportunities have really come from taking that little bit of a risk, right? And there's never once the first time I spent $1,000 on the course, the coaches that I've had for 50 grand a year, there's never been one where I'm like, I don't feel nervous about parting ways with my dollars. Like I'm always nervous about parting ways with my dollars, but it always comes back, man. I can't
Yeah,
say one
you're
thing that I
always
invested.
learning something from it, and I would argue that say you saved that $1,000 originally, and you just try to be a realtor yourself and try to do the leases and whatnot, you would have probably hated it, and you might not be here today, which would be like crazy that $1,000 would have held you back from
100%.
doing that, and then imagine you would just continue to just only sell real estate and not do what you're doing now, which you're pretty passionate about, is helping a lot of realtors be successful. And I guess basically you're paying it forward through the company that you have now is like all the success you got from that coaching. You're like, hey, I found success. Now with Sales Genius, you are providing that coaching to all these realtors who want to provide a good service. They've joined a brokerage, who's like, yeah, go out there, sell. And they're like, well, I don't have a system. And they're coming to you and they're getting that marketing system.
Yeah.
I am not a realtor, but Emma has definitely helped us in Foundation Capital with marketing, and it's been great. Obviously, I think because you're also a lifelong learner, and we're also willing to learn and try different things. We've implemented a lot of different marketing tactics and try different things all the time, and it's always great to learn that from you. It's definitely been helping us improve as well.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The interesting thing is I work in the real estate industry for realtors, but I have not really learned anything about what I know right now. There's some that I've learned from the real estate industry, but most of the stuff that I've learned about marketing and sales and things of that nature have not come from the real estate industry whatsoever. And so it's helped me be more dynamic where it's like I can sit down with you guys as non-realtors, but I can still give you. I'm still like, okay, this is what the offer needs to be. This is how we. You know what I mean? Like it's all.
It's hilarious because you just start pitching off the top of your head, and I'm like, can we get you to do this instead right now, please?
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. I think like the other cool thing though about just even like our relationship. I was even nervous. It didn't even cost me money to come meet with you guys that first time that we met up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But I was still nervous, and I think that's the thing is like whenever you do something new or there's change or there's risk or you're kind of putting like, I was thinking. I remember thinking going to that cash flow to go,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
That's what it's called. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember thinking, I'm like, okay, I want to meet more people. And I actually didn't. I never had any intention of like getting clients. I just wanted to meet cool people that were kind of interested in like investing or interested in real estate. I wasn't even like doing it from a client perspective. But I remember like I was about to leave, and I was like, oh, if I go to this thing and I don't meet it, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I'm like the only person. I don't know anybody, and I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna show up and I'll try and like network with some people. And I remember rolling up, and there was like 5 people. It was like you met whatever, you and PV, a couple other people. And then I remember being like, yo, is this good or is this bad? Because I'm like, if there's 100 people and have 1 million people to network with, I'm about to infiltrate these like 5 guys that already know each other.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then it was just so natural. So I think that's the thing is like sometimes you just got to take the risk. I feel like whether it's money or it's time, it's having a conversation, whatever, it's never comfortable, but you don't grow just staying on this side of it. Like at the end of the day, it's like if you're just gonna live a comfortable life and you're happy with what you got, then you're happy with what you got. But if you want to make a change, there's always a cost to change, and there's always some type of pain that's associated or risk that's associated with change, and you either have to accept it or you just got to stay where you're at.
No, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? And I'll tell you this: yes, there was 5 of us, but we didn't know all the other 5 people. The other
Oh
4,
yeah.
we met them freshly as well. So
That was my psychological assumption that I was just the outsider, I
100%,
guess.
yeah. So it was funny because I still remember that because we ourselves, because we were just randomly hosting it, we're like, I wonder if people will show up. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to show up. Are they going to, actually be into this, or are they going to just be like, oh, you guys are stupid, let me just go away? And honestly, I guess I'm glad we did that. And I'm pretty sure most of the people who've come to the Cash Flow to Go, we still stay in touch with in some form or another. Maybe we don't always do business with them, or they're not invested with us or something, but we know what's going on with them. And it's cool to meet, I guess, that like-minded person or like-minded mindset individuals. So I guess,
but you guys are great at that, man. And it's so crazy because imagine if you didn't host that event.
yeah,
Like, we've known each other now for like almost a decade, which is crazy.
yeah,
And it was only because I was like scared shitless, but I was like, whatever, I'm going to go to this event. And you were scared that no one was going to come, but we both took the risk anyways. And that's literally led to why we're having this conversation today. But the really good thing about you guys, and I will say this 1,000 times over, you guys care about you guys care about relationships. It's like we've always gone back and forth of like, checking in. How are you, man? How are things going? You know what I mean? You're not like someone that you meet. There's those people out there where you're like, I meet them and I know that like if I can't contribute something to the relationship, they don't want anything to do with me. You guys are like the complete opposite of that. It was like, how can we help you? What can we do? Blah, blah, blah. Even if we can't do something right now, can I point you in the right direction? And that's just led to like this really good like synchronicity in our relationship where like sometimes I need your help, sometimes you need my help, and we always hit each other back and forth. And you guys have just always been those guys, so I appreciate it from the first day I met you.
Thank you. Honestly, it comes from the fact that like it's not like my parents were real estate investors or they come from this. Like, my mom's a personal support worker, and she's the best thing she did was put money in a bank account, maybe. But
For sure.
So like everything we've learned has obviously been from other people and stuff like that. And just like how you paid for that course, like just attending meetups and these kind of things has been super helpful. And obviously, as we've grown along our journey, and obviously I worked from my times at Dream Asset Management, stuff like that, I've been able to leverage a lot of my experience from whether it was at PwC, Dream, or other places. So then when we had our accounting practice, you being a client, then joining and being a client there. I think we've done a lot of stuff in between, but it's something where like you never know, life will cross paths again. There was this one individual who we met at some real estate event in Vegas like a few years back, and I thought, hey, like I wonder what that guy's up to, and I see him, his Facebook posts, whatever. We had to get a traffic count study done because we have a building that we want to do, like turn it from 13 units into 22 units or 24 units. And, I call our development person. I just say, hey, fine, go get quotes on these companies, just send it back and let's go with somebody. He's like, yeah, I think there's just one guy. He can do it. He's a pretty reasonable price and he can get it done in a timeline. And I'm like, did you say his name was this? I'm like, there's no way. Let me look him up. And it's like, lo and behold, like, this is like 7 years later. It's like, holy shit, dude, what's going on? What have you been up to? So it's like, you never know when things will circle back. So it's been good that we've been able to do business again. But also just seeing people's journey, right? Like there's some folks who've gone on different paths, and it's just interesting. Like, life is just a journey that we've been hopefully able to see. So I guess, Em, like with that, what's your investor journey been like? Obviously, you're a current investor in Foundation Capital Private Real Estate Trust, but what made you even get into it? So because you're making money as a realtor, when did you decide to like pull the trigger and get in yourself?
I did like some Airbnbs originally, like, and I had done like some Airbnb like arbitrage of like renting places, or like my friends had places that they wanted to Airbnb and like did a bit of management. So that was kind of like my first foray into it. It was like right when Airbnb came out. There was no regulations, no nothing. Like, they just dropped the website.
The Wild West. Yeah.
The Wild West, yeah. And And so that was kind of like my first thing, and it went really well. It taught me a lot about property management and communication and running more of like, I mean, I had already been running like a solopreneur type of business, but it just felt like a different kind of like business lane. And that's kind of like what led me to start doing more research about like different types of investing, because I'm like, this isn't passive at all. This is a straight up another job as well, right? Um, and so that kind of led me to like learning more about real estate, because now it's like, okay, I started to save some money. I'm in the industry. I know the market well. I believe in the product. I'm like, I don't know anything about stocks and P&Ls and all that, but I know enough about houses. Like, what's a good price? What are some good the ROI? What are some good ROI opportunities within these houses? Whether it's burring properties, buying something for long-term hold, but raising the rents, etc. So I wanted to like learn a little bit more about that. And that's kind of like how I went and ended up finding the cash flow to go thing with you guys. And I kind of went down and I've dabbled into everything. Like, we've invested in properties together. I've done the Airbnb thing. I still have long-term holds. Like, I was very adventurous in my 20s, I guess. And,
Yeah,
and you were too. Like, we both tried everything
yeah,
and wanted to see what sticks. And I think, it went from like super active, like trying Airbnb. Then I bought some like long-term buy and hold properties. We had done some flips. And then I'm just like, I don't have time for this anymore. I guess I don't have as much energy as I used to have. And I think I've realized that like in order to grow bigger and to grow faster, I need to be like much more, I just need to be one track mind. Like, I got my one thing that I'm focused on. And so that's kind of what transitioned me from doing more of the like active stuff, because it is like, it's a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have people that say like, oh, buying real estate's like always passive and blah blah blah. You buy these duplexes. It's like, yo, I've had these duplexes with a property management company and it's still a pain, you know?
yeah.
And so I think like over time, what I realized was, when we started doing like the private lending and you guys started the fund, like, we just have had such a good relationship over such a long period of time. And I've had a lot of like business partners that have come and gone. You guys have always been a consistent for me. Like, we've always treated each other fair. We've always paid on time. Everything has been good about it. And then when you guys were like, we're going to be doing like private lending and we're going to open the REIT, to me, I was like, oh, this is a dream, because we had already been working together. We already had that road. I already had that trust with you guys, like, for so long, that I was like, this is the best thing that could happen for me, because I don't have the time I don't have the time, and I also just don't have the bandwidth to be doing that stuff anymore. And you guys are so good at that. Like, even when we had like the rental properties together, like, you guys took,
Thank you.
you guys did so much, legwork, and you were so good with the communication with the contractors and this, that, the other, like, finances. I was just like, this is great. Like, if I don't have to do, like, I don't have to be a part of the process, I can give you guys my money and I can focus on my business. This
100%.
is where we're at now, and so it's been really good for me. It's kind of gone from like active to like truly passive at this point, and it's bought me back a lot of my time to be able to focus on the things that I want without feeling like I've got like so many balls in the air and think, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't have peace of mind when you've got that many things on the go. You got rental properties, you got renovations, you got this tenant, this lease, did this person pay? I got to do this, the insurance, this plumbing, blah, blah, blah. Then you're trying to run a business and have a life on the side. I don't even have kids, but I can only imagine if someone also had kids, it's like, okay, get rid of this.
And that's the difficulty that people face, right? Like, some of them have kids and they're like, okay, they have a young family, then they're working at nights trying to do this, and then they're just burning on both ends, and then they burn out, right? And the problem is it's also unjust, because like, if you only have one property, or you own like one like condo and you're renting it out and the tenant stops paying, like, you feel like your life is crumbling, And,
100%.
like, I'm sure we've all been there, but the reality is, like, you got to spread that risk over many, and that's, I think, what a lot of our more experienced real estate investors who are now investing with us, like, that's what they're doing. I think a handful still own a bunch of the properties themselves, where they're like, solid tenant, I don't have any problems, so I'm doing it.
Yep.
But
I think that's like, as you become, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. I can just speak for my journey and like a couple of people I know. But I think that's kind of it. It's like you kind of go in, you dabble, you try it, you try a few things. This looks like an amazing opportunity, but it also comes with these heartburns. And then over time, you're like, okay, like, can someone else take care of this for me for a bit of a fee? And it's like, yeah, all right, done. Like at the
Yeah,
end of the
yeah.
day, give me my time back, give me my peace of mind back. And as long as I get a great return, I'm very happy with it. And I don't have to think about it. I just check every month. I'm like, yep, another payment. I'm good.
100%. Yeah, and it's crazy because like you obviously know when we met, we were accountants. We were just trying to do this passively ourselves, right? Find somebody who we could just give money to and they just do this and give
Yeah.
us a return. And we couldn't find anybody who did it to the same extent. Like, sure, you can find publicly traded companies or other private companies, but they were doing like half the return, right? So
Yeah, and I think that's like the benefit of like really where you guys are also at in your journey is that like you guys like fill this big void that exists in the marketplace of like, hey, what feels super risky with like some random private lender, they're promising the world here, but like how the heck do I know? And then versus, these huge publicly traded companies with like not as great returns, and you could never get a hold of somebody if you ever had a problem or you had questions or whatever. So it's like random Joe Schmo off the street that I can give my money to, high risk, high high risk, high reward, but like you could lose it all kind of thing. Then these people over here, it's like a lot safer, but I can't get a hold of anybody, and the returns aren't as great, right? From the spectrum, and you guys kind of fit in this center where it's like you are regulated, you guys have a great track record. You've got great properties. People can see you touch and hold the properties. You communicate with your investors. If somebody needs to get in contact with you, like you're right here, bro. Like if I need to call you, you know what I mean? So I think you
yeah.
guys are really in like that sweet spot, and it's I don't know, like I having seen your journey too, like I'm really like proud and happy of like where you guys have got, because I do think that you're providing something to the marketplace that like is kind of rare and hard to find.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I think it's just everything, right? Where we're just bouncing knowledge and information sharing to the point now that like I know we can apply this to whether when as we're now getting to doing some like purpose built developments outside of the REIT and whatnot, that all of these skills are transferable. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's like our friends and family who are all investing alongside us. So like, of course, we're going to do whatever we can to protect and make sure we do what we say we're going to do. So yeah,
Yep.
honestly, appreciate your support. Appreciate everything you've been there for. I guess like if for anybody kind of listening, what kind of piece of advice would you give them? I mean, if you're a realtor watching this, Emma's a great person to connect with, learn all about
Okay.
how to use digital marketing in your business. I'm sure you get a bunch of people trying to sell you on their course or on whatever, but I guarantee you, if you just follow Emma's process and you do the work, it'll pay itself within like 30 days. But maybe I shouldn't make that guarantee.
Don't make claims because it does depend on their work. But yeah, I mean, like, I appreciate that. It's just much like you, right? I got 10 years. I used to be a young buck that didn't know anything, and now I've got 10 years of experience and experimenting and wasting my own money, and now I got a process. And it's kind of the same thing with you guys. You've also too in parallel done the small things and gone to the bigger things, and now you have your process. And so I think if there's any investors out there, um, I obviously can't make any claims or guarantees for foundation, but like I've been working with MIT. I've been investing with MIT and PV for years. Like I don't even know how many years at this point. It's always been great. We've never had a downturn. Knock on wood, nothing has ever happened. I trust you guys. I believe in you guys, and you've always delivered on your promises to me for sure. But I think if you're an investor out there, you really do have to look at your journey and say, um, you have to look at your time versus money, and how much of a headache you're willing to take to make the money. And you have to say like, hey, okay, if I'm expecting that I'm going to get 50% returns year over year, there's going to be some headaches that are going to come along with it, and it's going to take a lot of work. But if you're like happy with getting a great return that's typically above what a traditional market is going to do for you, and you don't really want to have the work, you just want to get the cash every month and spend the time with your family, get your statements and get communicated with. I haven't found a better option at this point. Truthfully, I have not.
Awesome.
So if you're, if you're a time versus money person and you're like, I have all the time in the world and I want to grind it out, blah, 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 fine. But if you're a person that's like, I got some money in the bank, I don't want to learn the skill sets, I don't want to take the risk of dealing with the tenants, doing all that stuff, doing the renovations, dealing with the contractors, whatever. But I do believe in real estate. I want to invest in real estate and I would like to get passive returns. This is the best passive return for the least amount of time that I have found.
Awesome. Thanks for the sales pitch.
Of course, man. Yeah, no problem.
On your end though, so like what's next for you? So obviously you're building your foundation, you've got your other rentals that you still own personally, you're in the stock market, you invest quite a bit with us. What's next ahead? You're obviously working on Sales Genius. Like what's that vision look like?
I think I'm just, I want to build this business, like my next goal is like build a good business with great employees and at some point exit in the future. I think like that's what everybody wants. I know I'm just like a diehard entrepreneur and I'm going to be like, I'll probably like die on a webinar one day. Like I'm just gonna do it to the end and like croak in the middle of a presentation or something. I don't know. I say that that's what I want because I think we all have to kind of have goals or whatever. But I think for now it's just
let's just say you're DJing on that webinar instead.
Yeah, maybe I'll DJ on the webinar and then I just cross over to the other side.
Sorry.
But I think that I think for me, I've dabbled in a lot of stuff and I realized what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. And the thing that I want to do right now is put my head down and learn more as an entrepreneur and try and grow my company and do that by legitimately helping people. So I would love to help 100 agents get over 7 figures. If I did that, I don't know what the time frame is going to be. If I could do that, then I would feel like very accomplished with what I've done. I know my systems work and all that stuff. And then I'll take the bit of extra cash and I'll call you guys.
You want to plug Sales Genius? Tell them exactly what your offer is.
Yeah. So I'll tell you how it works. Agent comes to us. I sit down and I do a consultation with them, and we figure out: are you more of a farming agent or are you more of a digital marketing agent? And I mean that do you want to generate online leads or you want to be somebody that owns a neighborhood? Because those are kind of 2 separate paths that you can take as a real estate agent. And then what we do is we sit down. If you want to do farming, then we say, okay, we're going to do open houses and you're going to be doing direct mail campaigns, etc. We figure out what package you want. And then our team helps you implement the package. So we come up with what the offer is going to be, what the ads are going to look like. We help you with the flyers. We build your funnels for your open houses. We give you the training. This is what you say. When someone comes in the door, this is what you say. These are all the things that you should have available to somebody. This is how you follow up with them. This is how you continue to add value. And so what we do is we consult with you. We figure out what path you want to go down. And then instead of just being because I've had this a million times, a coach is like, okay, here's your plan. Go do it. And then I'm like, I don't know how to do it. And then the next time you meet them, they're like, what did you do? And you're like, I didn't do shit because I don't know how to do it. So what we do is we consult with you and then we do the implementation for you. Yeah. And all we do is then we coach you on the back end of we did this for you. Did you execute on these activities, which is mainly non-salesy follow-up? And if you did, and we do that consistently enough together, it works
100%. I think the biggest challenge, obviously, what I found great is all the advice you provided has been super key. And it's all about learning how long your return on ads is going to take for it to kind of convert and whatnot. And going through that whole process of spending that 2-day marketing kind of thing with you really helped us frame that. And it was crazy because obviously you work with realtors and I was like, can you implement this for us? And you're like, no, we're not. Maybe why don't you guys try and do it yourself, figure it out. And I think it took us a while. I want to say we did that last year, September, October, kind of maybe November. Yeah. And then it took us until I want to say May of this year where we're finally okay, let's do it. Because we kept checking in and we're like, oh, we're kind of halfway through the deck. We're kind of halfway through something. And then we're like, okay, we just need to do this. And honestly, it's been really fruitful because it was somewhat what we were doing previously we were more farming a bit. But it's hard because sometimes you have investors say, I want to invest, and then they kind of disappear and someone sends you a lead. And then, you're meeting people in person, but you never know where that's going to go versus, when we're running the digital stuff, it's been great because you can kind of see like, hey, who's filling it out and what they're interested in, whatnot. And then it's allowed us to really scale up our other channel of marketing, which is like really sending newsletters and updates and that personal stuff that some agents are probably doing. So for any of the agents out
But
there,
you guys do a really good job though of like, so what I find with agents and where they struggle is like there's two different types of campaigns. There's like attraction campaigns to get new people to come find you. And then you have retention campaigns, which are like the clients and the relationships that you already have and like how do you keep them around and how do you take care of those people? And for many years, I only did attraction because I was at a brokerage that just got me leads. I didn't do any retention. I was actually kind of really bad at it, to be honest. But I usually find like agents are either attractors or the retainers. And my job is to help them bring both of those things together because I think that that's what really helps you grow a great business. You always have new people coming in and then you take care of them on the back end and keep them around. Like it's two flywheels working together. And I think that you guys have always done a really good job of like being present, being belly to belly with people, doing the events, hanging out with your investors, getting their feedback, talking to them. And so you did attraction, but you're really good at retention. And so I didn't really need to teach you. You're like, we're doing these investor events, come out, have drinks, whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is great, But
it's funny because retention is just more normal. It's like, I don't know, we're just thankful and super appreciative that like, especially the random people on the internet who invest with us, it's like, thank you for your trust and belief in us. Now let us smash it outside of the park. And I know you will come back and you'll bring more and you're happy, right? And like, we help over 250 plus people, right? Like, it's like pretty sweet when you think about like how far we've come. But now I'm like, man, it's me sick helping. Like, you want to help 100 agents. We want to get to like 1,000 investors or more, and really be impactful. Like, obviously, you're trying to address the areas where people have those issues and whatnot, and success together, right?
100%, man. But I think you guys have been doing a great job. Like, you guys are implementers. You're getting the message out there. Your message is important. There isn't a lot of people that offer what you guys offer, and there's a gap in the market. But the challenge is that, and I get where people are coming from. Like, it's meeting someone on the internet and then giving them money is a scary ass thing, and so for you guys, it's important that you guys get who you are out there because you guys are great people. You know what I mean? You guys are the faces of the company. You guys are here grinding it out every day. It's not like you guys are sitting on a beach drinking Mai Tais and you got some random people running your company that if your investors try to call, they can't get a hold of. I hope maybe one day you guys get there. But as far as where you guys are at right now in your journey, it's like if I have questions and I pick up the phone and I need to reach you, like I'm getting a call back and I feel really good about it. And I think you guys got to get that message out there because I don't think there's a lot of people doing what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Em. I appreciate that. So, guys, that's today's episode of Build Your Foundation with Emma Pace at Sales Genius. Again, if you're a realtor out there who is looking to improve their digital presence, get marketing out there, increase your attraction and retention of clients, reach out to Emma. Emma, where can the folks find you at?
You can find me at Pace of Base on Instagram. That would be the easiest place to find me and send me a DM and reach me.
Yeah, and your website?
Salesgenius.co, not com.co.
Nice. Okay, so everybody go check that out. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of Build Your Foundation. We cover some of our investors' journey, talk about where they started in their career, where they're at, and how they've enjoyed their experience with us and their steps forward. So if you like this, drop a comment below, press the like button. Until next time, have a great day.